We've reached the halfway point of Broncos training camp. Another lighter day here for the Broncos on this Wednesday, day 7 of training camp. Hello, and thank you for joining us for our daily recap. I'm Phil Milani alongside Nick Ferguson and Aric, DiLalla. Nick, I know you as a former player, you like these slower days out here, huh?
Well, you would think that I do. I mean, back in the day when I played, and I'm saying back in the day, I can't imagine I'm saying that, but things were entirely different during that time. And once
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, once you put the pads on, you continue to have the pads on, but Coach Haggett decided to take the pads off, and I know everyone was talking on the hill whether that had anything to do with the two guys being injured yesterday. I say no. I mean, the idea is you want to make sure that your guys have fresh legs. And we know once you get those soft tissue injuries, they linger and they make it really difficult. So Malik Reed said it himself. It's all about being fresh and being able to go out there and compete. And this team is going to have on full pads, I think, Thursday and Saturday. So it's all about getting those guys out there ready to compete at full speed so you can evaluate them.
And they actually get more reps in this way, right, Aric?
Yeah, I mean, you saw on Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? It's hard to keep track out here. You saw that it's split in kind of two groups. So you've got kind of the second and third team on one field, got the first team on one field. They're getting a lot more reps in. They're running more plays. Nathaniel Hackett, he kind of said, shh, don't tell the players. We're actually getting more work in today. But I think it's good for him. You know, Nick mentioned physically they're able to take a little bit of a break, focus in mentally. And, you know, Nick, I would think with as good a shape as today's players are in, with how much they work out during the offseason all year round, you probably don't need a ton of work here in training camp physically to be ready to go for the season, I would think.
Well, you don't. That's if you're a veteran player. But if you are like a lot of these young players on this team, you need those reps. Those reps are really valuable because once we get to that first preseason game, we're going to see a lot of those reps start to be reduced. And if you're not making a point of emphasis and showing up in practice, you may find yourself on the outs when it comes to making this roster.
One of those younger guys who needs the reps, Albert O. The tight ends are playing a big role in this offense, maybe even a bigger role now that Tim Patrick is out for the year.
Yeah, those guys are going to be dependent on heavily. I mean, right now we don't know exactly what the offense is going to do to make that adjustment. I mean, for me, I'm thinking right away, you're thinking maybe 2 tight end sets to get those guys on the field and make it really difficult for the defense because now they're trying to decide, is it going to be a run play or is it going to be a pass play? But knowing as though the Broncos have tight ends now who can now stretch the field but are equipped to block. So it adds an extra wrinkle if you're Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, I mean, I think a guy like Greg Dulcich in particular, he looks like a big receiver. You think of a guy like Mike Evans, for example. Him and Greg Dulcich are kind of built similarly. Greg has that speed. You put him in the slot, you put him out wide. He's a guy that I think could challenge these, whether it's, you know, a smaller corner or a linebacker if you can get him out there in coverage. Those are 2 good matchups for the Broncos. And, you know, we talked yesterday, who's going to step up at the wide receiver position to replace Tim Patrick? It might actually be a Greg Dulcich or an Albert O that has that mismatch there but has the size that you need in the red zone, because that in particular I think is where you're going to miss Tim Patrick. He's the guy the last few years, you throw it up for him in the end zone, he's going to go make that play. We haven't seen a ton of that from Cortland Sutton. That wasn't Jerry Jeudy's game, particularly last year. So if a tight end is able to fill that void and kind of be the go-to guy, you throw it up, that would be a really good thing to see for this Broncos offense.
Switching to the other side of the ball now, guys, we haven't really talked much about the Broncos pass rush, but this is going to be a big year for Bradley Chubb playing on that 5th-year option. And then behind him, really some unproven guys because especially with Randy Gregory not ever having practice as a Bronco.
The Broncos need Bradley Chubb in particular to be very good. I think he's one of kind of those irreplaceable guys on this defense right now. You need Randy Gregory to come back and play well, but those guys behind them, the waves of pass rushers that George Payton has talked about, that's so important. And I think edge rusher might be perhaps the hardest position on this team to make right now because you have Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory. You've got Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, Malik Reed, Christopher Allen's working his way back in. And most teams only keep 4 outside linebackers. Now maybe it'll be 5 if you say, okay, Baron Browning also has that ability to move back to inside if needed, but this is a position group where you're going to have 1 or 2 players who are really talented who end up on the outside looking in, and it's going to be a really fun battle to watch in the preseason.
But just to piggyback off what Aric was saying, when you look at the bevy of pass rushers that you have, it's going to be hard to get actual game time, live game time experience. But here's what you can do. Since you have so many guys, you can develop what I like to call, the defense calls NASCAR, where you moving all those big guys, Draymond Jones, DJ Jones, we get all those big guys out of there, and we put all these athletic linebackers on the field. And if this happened, I want you to just pay attention to the faces of the offensive linemen. They want to know, okay, why are all these guys standing up? But now you have speed on the field. And we know in this game, it's all about speed and the ability to get to the quarterback. And if Evero decides to do that, it's going to be great for not just the pass rush, but the guys in the back end.
What do you think about a guy like Malik Reed, Aric? He's been around for a little while, but they've brought in these other guys. How do you think he's feeling at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's confident, but he's got to know he's in for a competition. Obviously, he came back kind of on that original round tender as a restricted free agent. He's in a contract year again. He's got the most starting experience of any of those guys kind of behind Chubb and Gregory, but he's also got to know he's in for a battle. He's got to hold off Bonito. He's got to hold off Browning. Jonathan Cooper showed some stuff last year against Dallas in particular. I mean, Malik Reed is a guy that could be a starter for this team if Randy Gregory's not ready, or he could end up as kind of your third or fourth outside linebacker. That's how close I think it is right now between kind of where these guys are.
Hopefully we'll start to see that separation with preseason games where you can actually touch the quarterback. Nobody can breathe on Russell Wilson, understandably, right now, but Malik Reed feels like he's gotten better in a lot of different areas.
I just feel like even though it's a new defense, I feel like my understanding of the game is, I feel like at an all-time high. I feel like right now it's just being able to anticipate things, being comfortable in the scheme, and being able to, take chances and attack more, I feel like, in certain situations. So I feel like that's my IQ of the game, I feel like, is what's at the next level.
Nick, halfway through training camp, where are these guys at right now? Are they drained? Are they sick of seeing the same guy over and over and over?
No, that hasn't really set in. It's what, day 7 of training camp. Usually start talking to me around day 14. The Dallas Cowboys are expected to come in here at some point, and guys will definitely be looking forward to it. But this is not one of those physical camps where you're saying that our coach is beating us down. Practices are now 2 hours. Now you can't wait to see another face. But, I mean, Coach Hackett is doing a great job of managing this roster right now and managing training camp. And it's all about, getting to the finish line. And right now, it's not beating your guys up in camp. It's about getting them through the preseason, getting through the first half of that season, and he's doing a great job so far.
It's given a chance for some guys to have a rest day. We saw DJ Jones have a rest day. What do you think? Where's the overall health of this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard to look past Tim Patrick's injury, but in general, you got some guys that they're just taking care of. Greg Dulcich, he's coming back, doing more and more every day. We saw DJ Jones back out here. Didn't really practice, but good to see him out here. And then you're just taking care of guys like a Kendall Hinton who missed this practice with a knee injury. So I like what Nathaniel Hackett's doing. At this point in camp, you don't need to push anybody. You got plenty of time before Seattle gets here. Take care of your guys. KJ Hamler's working his way back in. So in general, I think things are moving in the right direction.
You got to appreciate a guy like Nathaniel Hackett who looks into this stuff. He's not just saying this is the way we've always done it, this is how we're going to continue to do it. Always looking to evolve and get better and work smarter, not harder. That's not what you do, Aric, right?
I work hard and smart.
Oh, God. Okay, that's good. Good. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Aric DiLalla and Nick Ferguson, I'm Phil Milani. This has been our Broncos Training Camp Daily Recap.